Good morning, everybody. It's Carl Diffenderfer here. I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. A little rainy here in this part of the world, but that's okay. It's important to grab a cup of coffee and just sit down and enjoy some quiet time, time with the Lord. So I wanted to share something with you, a little bit of my personal journey this morning. And in this, I'm gonna be pretty transparent about my journey, but because I feel like what God's teaching me is something that should and could help you. So this is a bungee cord. You can see that I stretch it out here, and this bungee cord is reflective of some of the things that I've been experiencing in my life. See, about 2 years ago, God said to me that it's time for me to, instead of coaching one to one, it's time for me to have a greater reach. And he said, Carl, I've taught you a lot of things, and I want you to help others now. I want you to teach them the things that I've taught you through all of the 10,000 plus coaching sessions that I've done one on one with business owners from all over the world. And I've learned a ton through these business owners. And so this bungee cord is reflective of what my life has been like over the last 2 years. And here, let me show you what I mean. So this end right here is where I was when I started, and this end here is where God's called me to be. Now He's given me vision to go the whole way out here, but He hasn't told me to go there yet. He's told me that's where He's taking me, but He hasn't said go there. And so when He challenged me, he said, "Okay, Carl, you're going here." I said, "Okay, well, let's go there." And I started to create pressure on myself. Now, I don't know if you've done this to yourself, but when we have an idea of where we want to go and we're a driven person, like many business owners and coaches are, we tend to just drive hard to make it happen. But that creates a lot of tension, right? And eventually you get to the end. You can't go any further. It's like I'm pulling hard here. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you pull too hard on a bungee cord, that's not fun either. It snaps, makes a mess. How have you been doing in your life with this? Are you stressed to the max? Are you pushing too hard? Are you too driven? By the way, I don't think any of these things are wrong, but they have to be done in moderation. They have to be done with care, and they have to be done in the way God tells us to do it. And so this was me. I was right up against the max. It's not a fun spot to be. And I was studying in scripture, and God said, "Hey, Carl, read this passage." I read the passage, and it was, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I don't know about you, but when I'm like this, that's not an easy burden. That's not a light yoke. That's really hard. And so I was thinking about that passage a little bit, and the fact that we're kind of like the ox. If we're carrying the yoke, He says His yoke is easy. If we're carrying the yoke and we're the ox, first of all, take note: an ox isn't as smart as the person driving the cart. That's another conversation for another day. But also take note that if the yoke is easy, a yoke usually had two oxen on it, and they'd both be pulling forward. But if they're not pulling in harmony together, if they're not pushing together on that, it actually causes the one oxen to have a greater load and push harder. That's what it feels like when we're stretched out like this. We're pushed to the max. And so I was doing that, and God said, "Hey, my yoke is easy." And so from that, He's begun to teach me a new lesson. My life has been spent with me driving hard. If you know me, you know I drive hard. I get an idea, I get a revelation, I go after it. And God's been saying, "Hey, Carl, what about being still and knowing that I'm God? Can you be still? Can you do nothing for a little bit? Can you slow your mind down and just connect with me?" So God gave me these words earlier this week. The words were, "Slow down, only do what I say, go at my pace, and trust me." That was so powerful for me because I'm doing everything I can to go towards this calling, this thing that he's given me in my life to do. And he's like, hey, Carl, I'm going to help you with that, but you have to let me. You have to let go of the burden of the yoke that you're carrying and just let me do it. So I have begun to do that. And really, ultimately, take note, this is what the yoke is like. It's really fluid and easy when we're not pulling against it. If we're pulling at all against it, you can't create that lack of tension. And so, and by the way, I think this is where God resides. I don't think he resides in the tension. Well, I know he doesn't, because he's in charge of everything. So it came down to the fact that I wanted to be here, and God said, no, Carl, you're supposed to be here. Now he said, Carl, you're going there, but walk the journey with me, go at my pace. And so the end result is, do I trust him? Do I trust that he is going to walk the path with me at the pace? So that then kind of unpacked an idea for me of the fact that results really don't matter. I know that sounds crazy, but they don't. And here's why. I don't know about you. My father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I own 0 cattle on 0 hills. Think about it. He's in charge of the end result. He's in charge of what happens. He's in charge of whether or not you get clients. He's in charge of whether or not your clients are happy. He's in charge of your staff. He's in charge of every problem, every worry, every concern, every anxiety that you hold on to. He's overcome those things. I want to share one of the verses that really stood out to me through all this is that I can do all things. Now, recently it's been, God, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. How am I supposed to get there? And, you know, at the end of the day, it's his job to reveal to me at the right time how he wants me to get there. So I still was also kind of worrying about that end result. So even if you're a successful business owner, you're going to find yourself in this spot sometimes where you're striving for an end result. Things are good. Things aren't bad, but I still want to be here. And God's saying, hey, Carl, slow down. So I can with him. Those are the key words. I can with him. And the results don't matter, because if I'm doing what he's asked me to do, he'll either make the results happen or he won't. But I have still been obedient. I hope this has challenged you today as you're on your journey of really, yes, you're building a business, you're working hard, you're doing amazing things for God's kingdom, you're making an impact in your staff, the lives of your staff, your family, your children, your spouses. Yes, you're doing all of that. But if you don't slow down and you don't allow God to guide your steps, step after step, you're going to get exhausted, you're going to get worn out, and it's going to be a tiring journey. They're his results, not mine. So I hope this was challenging for you today. What I want to ask you is Monday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time, I have some more of this story that I want to share with you. I'm going to go live again, and I'd love for you to just join in. And if you can, ask questions, give comments. Love to see what you have to say. And hopefully that's a great challenge for you. Okay. Blessings to you. We'll talk to you real soon. And remember, Monday, 12 o'clock Eastern time, I'll be live again. Love to share the next piece. And by the way, it's a very powerful story. It's going to knock your socks off of what God taught me through this. Look forward to talking to you then. See ya.